So today is an episode about something that comes up a lot. Like, it's one of those things where I'm like, wait, why haven't I talked about this on the show yet? Like, this is something that comes up all the time. It's the deciphering between the perfect guy on paper versus the exciting toxic guy, right? We know them, we love them, we all got one. Okay, so let me first start off with sharing an example and, of course, a story, right? That's what we're here for. So, my perfect on paper guy, we'll call him Professor, the Professor guy. I have talked about him a few times on the show. And then the exciting guy, but toxic, is the Las Vegas guy. Also mentioned him on the show. They're just the easiest ones to talk about until I think of some other ones that fit. Anyways, so the Professor guy, and I have my notes here, of course. The Professor guy, he was the perfect on paper. So he was accomplished, he was successful, he had his own place, right, in the city, could, didn't live like in the suburbs or, right, was like in the heart of things. You could adult well in the world. And what I mean by that is like, I'm not going out with this person thinking that I have to make the world an easier place for them. I don't have to be like apologizing for his behaviors. I don't have to feel embarrassed about how he goes out in the world. It's more like he knows how to show up in the world. He's not going to be like, oh, ugh, a drag queen. He's not going to honk his horn the entire time getting from point A to point B. He's going to know how to show up in spaces that are unknown and handle himself, right? I'm not going to have to be like babysitting, okay? And of course, we had really interesting combos. So, perfect on paper for me, successful, ambitious, could talk about all types of things, not just superficial things, right? We could talk about the gamut. Loved it. That is perfect on paper for me. So, the exciting but toxic guy, he was very fleeting, just like he's here, he's not, don't know he's coming back, a lot of empty promises, there was lots of breadcrumbs, so I starved. But then when we finally did connect, it was like something out of a Hallmark Lifetime whatever, right? It was something out of a movie, basically. Like the months of waiting for him to return never existed because that short time frame, whether it was a day or maybe it was a 5-hour conversation or maybe it was a all day text message or whatever, it was like, oh, yes, this is so great, so great. So that's the example story, true life, real life here, right? So with this episode, I want to guide you through making decisions based on your values, your morals, your needs, right? Rather than just settling or compromising your self worth. Okay. So I'm going to go over 4 things, tips, takeaways, however you want to call it. They're going to be 4 things regardless. So the first thing, as we're trying to decipher through the perfect on paper and the exciting guy, but he's toxic. Number 1, understand your core values and your needs. Okay. So I'm always talking about values because that is literally what moves us through this world. That's what guides us. That's what helps us to show up at certain things and not show up for other things. That helps us show up for ourselves, right? Even if we're not always being like, okay, did I really lean into all my values? Even if you're not doing that, it's still at play. You know what I mean? So let's talk about core values. So for you, you would be identifying your personal values. Example, honesty, stability, mutual respect, right? Your personal values is essential in making relationship decisions, right? Now, our families, unless you have a chosen family, our families, that's just who we got. That's who is a part of our pact, right? So it's not like, well, even though my mom or my sister and I or whoever, we don't have the same values, we shouldn't have a good relationship. I'm talking more like when it comes to dating, having your values at the forefront of your mind. Okay. So thinking about your needs versus wants, right? My wants would be going out of the country once a month. That's my want, and I want him to pay for it, right? Like, hey, oh, I got you this trip to Barcelona. How do you say Barcelona? Whatever. I'll come back to that. I want that, right? However, what I really want is just quality time. It doesn't have to be an overseas trip every month. That would be nice. However, I'm not going to be like, oh, well, this guy can't afford an overseas trip every month, so I'm out of here. Now, boo boo, if that's really what you want, I support you. I support you. Okay, you get that. Back to the facts here. When you need to identify your needs versus wants, you want to differentiate between your emotional needs, example, security, love, respect, versus, right, the fleeting ones. So the thrill, the drama, the exciting but toxic guy has the thrill and the drama. Going back to the Las Vegas guy, when we spent a day together, a day, a night, I don't know what you want to call it, but a night together, we had some friction, right? Of course. And like I walked away and he was like sitting or coming after me. And then it was finally like, oh, well, okay, well, I just, we just like hugged and come on, let's go somewhere else. And like, just, you make up and the makeup is so intense and it's so lovely. And it's just like, why were we even fighting? Right? Like that's the thrill. That's the drama. And that's all there is with that. Because when that fades away, then it's like in your face, oh shit, this is toxic, this is unhealthy, we're arguing, I'm not feeling respected, there is no mutual respect, there is no love, there is no security, right? So that's the first one. And so to kind of wrap this first part up, it's like create a list if you want. I know you like the list. Create a list of your top 5 non-negotiable values and needs, right? Mine would be safety, security, kindness, respect, and quality time. Top 5. And again, your values can shift, they can change. Maybe as a kid growing up, maybe your value was your religion, right? Your faith. And so every Sunday it was really important to you to make sure you spent time at the, place of worship, and that's what you did. As you've gotten older, maybe you decided, I do still value my religion. However, I don't value going to church every Sunday. I want to show up in my spirituality, my religion in a different way. Okay. So the second point I want to bring in is let's talk about the allure, right? The allure of the exciting but toxic guy. So exploring the attraction of the exciting but toxic guy, because let's be very honest, the toxic guys are so fine. They are so fine. Like literally, a side note, and maybe I've told the story before, but I found myself on Instagram. And someone I follow, I can't remember who I followed, but she showed her brother. Her brother was in the video, and he is so attractive. I was like, oh my god, right? Let me go to his Instagram and let me get some more. Let me get some more photos. Let me get some more videos of this person, right? As I'm scrolling through, there were some videos that I saw where it was like clearly like you're that F boy, you're that toxic boy, right? Like I saw it immediately. Was he fine? Yes, absolutely. Was I allured into clicking on his Instagram through his sisters and taking a stroll? Yes, I was. Still toxic nonetheless. Okay. So we'll explore the attraction. Me, women, we're drawn sometimes. I'm not going to be like all the time. Some of us are drawn to men who are exciting, but ultimately toxic. There are these like psychological factors like the thrill I mentioned before of the chase, the unresolved past traumas, right? So again, a past trauma, something like this could be, again, I'm always going to use emotional nurturing because I feel like that really resonates with a lot of us. If your caretaker, if your mom, if your dad, whoever was raising you was lacking in emotional empathy, they always made you feel like you shouldn't have emotions. Stop crying. There's nothing to be sad about. Oh my God, here you go crying again. That's not even how it happened, right? Dismissing, whatever. That toxic guy, that exciting, that thrill chasing, he's going to have those same qualities. He's also going to make you feel like your emotions are not valid, that your emotions aren't safe here. I don't want to hear about your emotions. I damn sure don't want to see you cry. We're attracted to that because we are still in this unresolved past trauma that we are reenacting. Okay. So now let's get into the red flags versus deal breakers when it comes to these toxic guys, the allure of them. So I know you have red flags. I know you can name like 4 right now. Go ahead. Name 4. Name 1. Okay, name that second one. Name the third one. Okay, now name the fourth one. Boom. So I know you have red flags that you can list out right now. And I want you to consider non-negotiable deal breakers, right? There are red flags and then there are deal breakers. Let me give you an example. So for me, when I'm dating someone, if someone is seeming like spirited, or they're inconsistent, they're unreliable, says they're just looking for a they're not looking for a relationship right now, or they want to focus on their career, or they just simply want to have fun, right? Like it's not a priority for them right now. To me, that's a red flag. Like, okay, well, if I know I want to be in a serious relationship, that's not gonna work for me. If I know that my style of communication, my energy, my personality is not forward facing, mean spirited, this is not going to work, right? Now, it's a red flag. Like, oh, I don't know about that. Is that just how they're presenting today? Maybe they're nervous. Is that them consistently, Sunday through Saturday, right? So deal breakers, I know you have those too. In case you need an example, again, here are some of my deal breakers. So if the person says that they want children, deal breaker. If you expect me to take your last name when we get married, deal breaker. Maybe. I mean, my last name, I have 2 last names. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? Just what? Drop them? I don't know about all that. So as of right now, no. Deal breaker for me is the person told me that they want to be a stay-at-home husband. That's not gonna work for me. That's not the partnership that I want, right? And then if the person was like they want to be poly, that's a deal breaker for me. Okay, so literally practice and recognize these red flags that you have, right, in your own relationships and past experiences. Gather the data, write it down if you need to. Like sometimes it's really helpful, maybe putting in your notes and just having your red flags there and your deal breakers there so you can remember what you told yourself, right? Okay. It's not here to help you. I'm not expecting you to remember everything. Okay. The third tip, takeaway, whatever we're deciding to call it. So back to the perfect guy, right? The perfect guy, the perfect on paper, the POP guy. Is he really perfect though? Right? So like there's this the illusion of perfection. So the perfect on paper guy may not always align with your true values, your emotional needs, despite seeming ideal, right? He literally may just be good on paper, right? I've had many of those. Like, how does he treat you emotionally? Again, do you find yourself just crying all the time in the bathroom? Because you know he's not gonna be able to sit with you and your emotions and process through and not just blame you for like it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. Like, is it just that? Can we come together? Can we see how we both showed up to make this situation that happened uncomfortable, or both of us felt disrespected, whatever, right? Does physically, does he align with your values, right? I know some people will meet the perfect on paper guy. I've been there too, no judgment. However, the perfect on paper guy, you don't find him physically attractive, or you don't want to have sex with him, right? But then you tell yourself, oh, well, I have to pick someone. Like, I don't know about that. Do you have to pick the person you're not sexually attracted to? Are there more people you are aligned with, right? Again, the POP guy, do you have the same desires for future goals? Say you really like nature, and so like it's always been a dream for you to live in the forest, live in the woods, or maybe even live in Switzerland, right? And all those lush rolling hills. And they're like, I want to be in the city. I want to be in the city, like, right, San Diego, New York, Atlanta, Miami, right? Like maybe that's really where they want to be. Does that align? Truly. Is that perfect person? Is that person really perfect? Is it just simply perfect on paper? Will that idea of perfection also boil down to the small things that matter to you? The small things. Something I used to think about early on in dating, that that's when I never really wore my natural hair out. You know, if I was getting out of braids or sewing or whatever, people wouldn't see me until I got it done again. Now, I'll just wear my natural hair until I want to change it up or whatever. The point is, I used to feel like the people who I was dating, I had to keep up this facade of being perfect, right? So they wouldn't see me if I was in between hairstyles. Or if I had to go number two, I would leave and go to my house. Or if I was really hungry, I would wait to get home until I could really, really eat. That kind of stuff. Like, what does that perfection actually do to us? How we show up in real time? Do we then have to be perfect? And there's no room for like real life shit. Okay. So, with this, think of having an emotional connection versus checklist. Yeah, they check here, they check there. How do I feel though? Do I feel seen? Do I feel protected? Do I feel safe? Are you kind while you're also reaching your career goals, right? Or are you reaching your career goals and you're mean as fuck to me because you feel like I'm not as ambitious as you, or maybe I want to retire from the local coffee shop, but because he's perfect on paper and he's check, it doesn't work for him. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? So really think about having the emotional connection. I think is much more important than just a checklist, because I feel like we could take care of the checklist stuff through alignment, right? How are we aligning on our goals, desires, needs, right? Do we have chemistry? Do we have shared life goals beyond just the checklist, right? So keep it in the back of your mind. Keep it in the back of your mind. For me, emotional connection is really important. I used to spend years. I spent most of my relationships, and I mean most because like I would probably say I've had like maybe 4 serious relationships. I spent most of my relationships just crying, arguing, right? Just wanting them to be less cruel to me and see my emotions, respond to my emotions, not make me feel ashamed of my emotions. Or I used to always hear this, oh my gosh, you're still on that? You're still not over, get over that already. Like shit like that. And I promised myself I would never, ever be in a relationship again where I spent most of my time crying, excusing the mean behavior, right? I'm not doing it. I would take pictures of myself crying after every argument that I had with an ex, every time. And he would say nothing. Now that I think about it, he would say nothing. Or, yeah, he wouldn't really respond to it, right? So just reflect on your current or your past relationships and assess if the emotional needs were truly being met. Were they? Did you stuff your needs down and just kind of power through, right? Okay, so the last point here is, this is your permission, right, to make decisions that will empower you, that will make you feel good about yourself, that will really increase that self-worth, that make you feel like, oh, I'm so proud of myself. I did that, right? Like that kind of energy. I want you to trust listening to your inner voice. It's there. She's there. She's speaking. She's speaking. For me, my inner voice, my intuition, if you will, it's a strong whisper. It's not a scream in my ear. It's like yeah, I really don't think. No. It's more like, it's time to go. It's like, it's time to go. It's like that. It's not like it's time to go. It's like, it's time to go. So trust in your gut feelings, if you want to say that sort of intuition, when making relationship decisions. Trust yourself, right? Especially going through these 4 tips or the 3 before. You got the red flags, the deal breakers, the emotional connection you're looking for, the checklist, the POP guy, the exciting but talks, like it. So trust within yourself. And also choosing yourself first, which is really hard to do. Me too, right? Prioritize your own well-being. Prioritize your self-worth. Prioritize your happiness rather than waiting for someone else to choose you. And what I mean by that is, I literally don't want you to be like, oh, I can't experience axe throwing, which I'll never do just because I am way too clumsy for that. I don't want to do axe throwing because I want to be with a partner. Like, I don't want to do these things until I'm coupled. No, you actually, if you really want to do axe throwing, you might just meet someone really interesting because you showed up for yourself and you did an activity that you wanted to do. Right? Like, I don't want you to feel like until someone says I'm worth it, I'm proud of you that I can't tell myself I'm worth it and proud of you. Is it wonderful to hear from someone that you're dating, someone that you love, someone you're married to, the father of your child, right? Yes, it is. And you will have that. And I want that for you. And until that happens, someone needs to be telling you that shit. So tell yourself, okay? Uh, so you have permission. I'm giving you permission. I remember a few years ago, I was in this group call and this woman said to me, it feels like you're asking for permission. I want to be like, fuck you, you don't know me. But she was right. I did. I needed permission. And I didn't know I needed permission. Right. So you have permission. I'm giving you permission. You have permission to make a decision aligned with your values. You have permission to do that. And even if it means walking away from someone who doesn't meet your needs, right? You've seen enough. You've gathered enough data. You guys don't want the same thing. It's not working out. Again, you value kindness over meanness. You choose your words carefully. They don't, and they just keep saying sorry after every time they make a crazy statement. Right? One of my sisters does that. She will say shit, and then you just know, like clockwork, you're gonna get a text. She's gonna apologize for what she said, and after a while, it's like, well, just don't say it. Like, just don't say it. Okay. So you got all that? Remember, there's support out there. There's support, right? You can work with a therapist. You can work with a coach to explore your values, heal past wounds, right? Gain clarity in your decision-making process. I know a lot of us can feel like very overwhelmed to make decisions. We kind of like freeze up. Okay. So as you know, that this is my area. This is my jam. I love working with women on shit like this. Like, I can't get enough of it. I can't get enough of it. So if you need help, like navigating what some people say, navigating these waters, these choppy waters, you need help navigating these complex emotions in relationships, and like, what do I do? And what are my values? How do I know the emotional connection? How do I know what to say when I realize it's not in alignment? Work with me. We can figure it out. I guarantee you we'll figure it out time and time again. So if you're interested in learning more about my services, of course, or if you want to book a consultation, or you just want to stay in the know, you can be on the podcast newsletter, right? Go to my website, soireesintherapy.com. That's SOIREES in therapy, IN therapy.com. And you can see more stuff there. Okay. So that's it for now. I believe in you. You got this. Until next time,